Welcome to the I Choose Health podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Lessie. Today we have marathoners Kayleigh and Sandy Williamson joining us on the show. And I think you're saying it's also the first woman with Down syndrome to complete the Austin Marathon.
She is the first individual and only individual with Down syndrome to complete any marathon in Texas.
Yeah.
And any half marathon.
Wow.
I am a first person with the Down syndrome awareness doing my first half marathon.
Yes, and then the city of Austin did a proclamation that February the 22nd, 2022 is Kayleigh Williamson Day in the city of Austin.
Yes. Now for this week's health updates. This first study is about wasabi and its memory-boosting ability.
Wasabi, a hot green paste that is typically eaten with raw fish, has now been shown by researchers to enhance both short and long-term memory. Originating from a rhizome, wasabi is a fleshy stem located between the leaves and the thin roots of the wasabi plant, although we frequently see it in a paste form. When we think of brain foods, we often imagine nuts like almonds and walnuts, or foods packed with protein, such as salmon. The researchers at Tohoku University say that Japanese wasabi also acts as a brain food, as its primary active ingredient is a biochemical known as 6-MSITC, an established anti-inflammatory and antioxidant found in tiny concentrations in other parts of the plant kingdom. The findings, published in Nutrients, included 70 healthy participants, ages 60 to 80, who participated in the double-masked, randomized study. Before going to bed, half of the elderly participants took 100 milligrams of wasabi extract, while the rest ate a placebo. Fast forward 3 months. The group consuming wasabi exhibited noticeable improvements in cognition, working short-term memory, and longer-lasting episodic memory using established tests for language proficiency, focus, and essential task performance.
The second study is about the possible impact of one's relationship on their blood pressure.
Researchers reveal that married heterosexual couples not only share the same last name but, at times, high blood pressure. The study, published in the Journal of the American Heart Association, says those who are married or live together and are middle-aged often both have high blood pressure. Although high blood pressure is quite common, with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) reporting approximately 119.9 million Americans having high blood pressure, researchers looked into why many couples share high blood pressure.
This next study shows the role that racism may play in a type of healthcare that minorities receive. Many people from racial and ethnic minority groups brace themselves for insults and judgments before medical appointments, according to a new survey of patients that reaffirms the prevalence of racial discrimination in the U.S. healthcare system. The KFF survey of nearly 6,300 patients who have had care in the past 3 years found that about 55% of Black adults feel they have to be very careful about their appearance to be treated fairly by doctors and other health providers. Nearly half of American Indian, Alaska Native, and Hispanic patients feel similarly, as do about 4 in 10 Asian patients. By comparison, 29% of white people surveyed said they're worried about their appearance before appointments. Now for a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? There is definitely something keeping me from my happiness and accomplishing my goals. I need to take stock of my depression and consistent negative self-talk. Therapy helped me realize that I was deserving of happiness. That's why this podcast is called I Choose Health. It was about me choosing happiness, and I wanted to share that with you. That's why I wanted to and have partnered with BetterHelp as a sponsor to share the gift of therapy with you. Over 4 million people have used BetterHelp to start living a healthier, happier life. People spend hours in the gym every week, so why not give your mind the same kind of attention? Starting therapy can be hard. The right therapist for you may not be in your area, and some people find the face-to-face interaction and therapy uncomfortable. With BetterHelp, you can have your therapy sessions as a phone call, as a video chat, or even via messaging if you prefer that. Whatever is the most comfortable version of therapy for you. BetterHelp can match you to one of over 30,000 therapists in their network, which gives you access to a wider range of expertise that may be available in your area. To get started, you fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you'll get matched with your therapist, in most cases within 48 hours or less. You'll be able to schedule therapy sessions at a time that's convenient for you. If the therapist you're first matched with doesn't feel like the right fit, which can be common when starting therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. If you think you might benefit from therapy, consider BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/iChooseHealth for 10% off your first month with a licensed therapist. Our guests today have blazed a hot trail from Austin, Texas, all the way to the Big Apple and right into our hearts. They continue to show what a strong mother and daughter bond can accomplish. In February 2022, she landed herself in history books, becoming the first person ever with Down syndrome to complete both a half marathon and marathon in the state of Texas. She then set her sights on the New York City Marathon this year and became the first woman with Down syndrome to complete the New York City Marathon, placing herself in the history books again. She joins us now on the show. All right, welcome back to the I Choose Health podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Lessie. I'm really excited about our interview today. We have someone who is a trailblazer and history maker here with us today. And, before we get into it a little bit more, I hope that you guys have been enjoying the interviews that we've been going through. We just had actress and model Ruby Lopez. She just gave her story on surviving ovarian cancer. And so, the things that she did, the way that she created her own protocol and kept her positivity up, even though having two small kids, and having to work and still, being told by her doctors that she only had 1 year to live. And, they didn't think that she would make it past the year. So just like seeing that story of perseverance, seeing that story was truly amazing, and I was significantly encouraged by her story. So today, as I said, we have someone who is really a trailblazer, a history maker, someone that really embodies the values here of I Choose Health podcast. And in spite of every difficulty, in spite of every challenge, she's consistently met that challenge and has overcome it. And, I'm really thrilled to have both Kayleigh and Sandy Williamson here today with us on the podcast. How are you guys doing today?
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm stoked to be here with you guys.
How are you?
So I want to start, I was going through some studies and looking at particularly like the history of like Down syndrome and how back in the 60s, there, especially in America, there was a push to not have people who had that diagnosis of Down syndrome to be integrated into society. They were oftentimes institutionalized. Families would be told, don't have them in the house. You should put them off. And the idea was to keep these individuals keep people from seeing the horrors, as they would say, of their life. And, I'm thankful that, we have your story and Kayleigh's story, that you didn't take the position of, hiding her, keeping her story from coming out. And, I see that Kayleigh's 33. She was born 1990.
Yep.
I I was born March 2nd, 1990 in Macomb, Mississippi.
Great, in Mississippi. And both of you can speak to what that was like growing up in Mississippi and Texas. What was that like, especially with there being such a limited knowledge on the Down syndrome diagnosis? Speak to what that was like. How challenging was that? Going around society.
I was a junior in college. So I literally went to classes one day. She was born the next. I missed a week of classes and then spring break and I was back in classes. Was a waitress putting myself through college. So when she was born and they didn't even know at the moment she was born, it wasn't until the next morning that someone came in and said, "We think she might have Down syndrome." It took 2 weeks for the blood test to come back. And I remember the doctor at that time, I had started crying and I was like, "You don't have to tell me. I know she has Down syndrome." And I told him, I said, "My question is how to explain to her when she becomes the butt of jokes. How do I explain to her when she's made fun of?" And I'll never forget this because the doctor looked at me and said, "Miss Williamson, face it, she's retarded. And when you collect yourself, I'll come back in." And he walked out and never saw that doctor again.
Right.
I put her clothes on her and we left. I was told she probably wouldn't run or walk until she was at least 5 years old. That she probably wouldn't be potty trained, and she was potty trained by the time she was 3. I was told every thing she couldn't do, but I wasn't told what she potentially could do. I was told not to keep her as a student, to either put her up for adoption or put her in an institution in Baton Rouge. Neither one were an option. She was my daughter and I was going to take care of her. We lived on welfare and donations her whole first year of life, and graduated from University of Southern Mississippi on a Friday night, and we moved to Austin, Texas the next morning.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wanted her to be at a place that had more that could support her growing up. And we do go back to Mississippi and we do a half marathon in Hattiesburg. And the difference from then to now is amazing. But what has been offered in Austin, and if we hadn't have been here, she wouldn't be where she's at today.
Right. And this is why I say, like, just hearing your story, like, this is why it's both yours and Kayleigh's story, because, again, with all that, what I would say, terrible advice of giving her up for adoption, you were like, "No, this is my daughter. We're going to push through this. I don't care whatever they're saying about her. Like, we're going to push through this and make this work." And, seeing Kayleigh's challenges as well, I know that in 2016 that she also discovered that she was pre-diabetic and was diagnosed with Graves' disease.
It started out with hypothyroidism, and then it changed to hyper, which is Graves' disease. Something very common in individuals with Down syndrome. Most people don't realize that our autoimmune gene is housed in the 21st chromosome, which is what she has an extra. The gene, the APP gene linked to Alzheimer's, is housed in the 21st chromosome. So she was diagnosed with Graves' disease, and she already had been diagnosed with ITP. ITP is idiopathic thrombocytopenia purpura, which means her immune system thought that her blood platelets didn't belong in her body. So they were breaking it down. Unfortunately, the medication for Graves' disease causes your blood platelets to drop. So we had quite a battle going on. She was pre-diabetic. She had sleep apnea. She was 215 pounds. A lot of different health issues. So in August 2014, when she was diagnosed with hyper, I took a step back and said, I need to look at what I'm putting in her body. And that's when we started making the changes to diet, and we introduced running.
Right. And I kind of want to speak to Kayleigh on this. Kayleigh, what at this moment where you're, facing all these health challenges, what kept your motivation and inspiration high to be able to really still push through? And I think, Mom, I know that they were saying that she lost 85 pounds, right? In addition to, picking up different activities. Like, what kept you so motivated and so inspired?
What motivated you to keep doing what you're doing?
Keep going.
Yeah, what motivated you? What do you want me to answer for you? Because I don't know that that's your answer. What motivated you? Talk to him. Talk to Stefan. What motivated you?
I love running.
You love running? Okay, what else?
It keeps me healthy.
Did you like feeling healthy? Did it make you feel empowered? Did it make you feel like you could do anything? What did running, and when you say it made you happy, how did it make you happy?
It makes me happy.
You met a lot of people while you're running? Are they like family now? Yeah? Like who? William?
Like William and Shane.
And Shane. Okay. You picked up on that one. Okay. Yeah. She is alive, I promise.
Yeah. No, man, I definitely like have the same motivation as well. Like with running, that's something that makes me really feel alive. It's something that really creates that space of I don't know, really opens the mind up. Right, like some of my best thoughts and feelings really come while running.
I like running because I see heaven.
You see heaven when you run? You see grandma in heaven when you run? Okay. All right. All right.
Also speak about that, because I know that, Kayleigh definitely mentioned how motivated she was because of her grandmother. And I know that at some point through the race, she reminded you that you were also running because of grandma. Speak to that experience and the specialness of that moment.
My mom, just to give a history on it, passed in 2021 because of Alzheimer's. Prior to her passing, she used to think that she escaped from the nursing home and would go to different places. One of the places that, even before the nursing home, that she always wanted to take Kayleigh to was New York. And she always wanted Kayleigh to get to see the lights. And so during the race, I think it was about mile 8, I kept saying, "You're doing this for grandma." And Kayleigh stopped me and she said, "But she's your mom too.
Right.
And you shouldn't be calling her grandma. You should be calling her mom, because she's with you." And so that kind of, that moment of putting me in my place, so to speak.
I call her grandma.
You call her grandma.
Yeah.
But it was important each time Kayleigh, we all hit those walls throughout a marathon. It just depends on what mile marker it is. It can be 18, it can be 20, it could be, for her, I think it was about 22, 23.
Right.
And it was just reminding her of the why in grandma. And you would always see, when you talk about her grandmother, my mom, Kayleigh, all of a sudden this determination came back. This awareness of, oh yeah, this is why. Because grandma can't do this anymore. So Kayleigh's doing it as a way to honor her.
Yes.
Yes.
And also, I was reading that, you guys, completed the Austin Marathon in 2022.
Yep.
And I think it was saying it's also the first, woman with Down syndrome to complete the Austin Marathon.
She is the first individual and only individual with Down syndrome to complete any marathon in Texas and any half marathon.
I am a first person with the Down syndrome awareness during my my first half marathon.
Yes, and then the city of Austin did a proclamation that February the 22nd, 2022 is Kayleigh Williamson Day in the city of
Wow,
Austin.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And in this
That's
race, they always call me I'm the princess.
They do announce her as the race princess.
Okay,
She is
that's
full diva.
amazing. Yeah, I saw that quote, and that definitely made me chuckle a little bit. And that's amazing because it's like first person with Down syndrome to do that, and also first woman. If you know anything about the history of running in this country, I believe it was the New York City Marathon going back to like 1970. There was a woman who attempted to run the New York City Marathon. I think she completed it, but there were attempts to try to stop her from doing it. So to be the first person with Down syndrome and be a woman as well, to do that is amazing, because I know that some of the other stories were showing how that some of the other individuals that completed with Downs were men, but to do it as the first woman with Downs as well is really significant.
Yeah, it is. And the difference with any individual with Down syndrome now, Kayleigh has low muscle tone. So you can have some individuals with Down syndrome that don't necessarily have the low muscle tone. What it means with her is she has to work so much harder to get that muscle tone that we get easily when we walk out the door and you just start repetitively running. It's always bewildered me because she doesn't look like she could deadlift 155 pounds.
Yeah, I saw that.
She doesn't look like she could get out there and do a marathon because her legs don't look muscular. Her arms don't look muscular, but she's able to do it. So it is an even bigger feat, male or female, with someone with Down syndrome to do this. Her muscle tone impacts her right foot. Her right arch collapses. And when it collapses, it causes strain on the ankle and then the hip. So she has specific orthopedic inserts that were handmade for her. And we use a lot of KT tape. And I always get the ankle checked out afterwards to make sure there's no swelling. Are we causing anything that could be permanent damage or anything? So I'm always monitoring that. And thus far, she's done great. They're able to lift that arch back up where it needs to be. But it just speaks to the amount of discipline and work she has to put in just to do something that we might take for granted, of just getting out there and doing a 5K or just getting out there doing a 10K. And it sounds weird to just say just, but it is. There was a gentleman out there in New York that did the race also with her and came in not far after she did. And I know it looked like with his foot, their muscle tone is so different that they get out there and do this. It's not just inspirational. It should make us all step back and take in what is possible with determination.
Yeah. And not only deadlifting 155 pounds, but I saw that you're competing in powerlifting events as well.
Yep. You did your first power. The week after New York, she had her first powerlifting event for Special Olympics.
I'm not going to do that again.
You're not going to do. I told her not to do the 155 because her back was still bothering her from the New York Marathon. So she only did like 135, 140 pounds. I mean,
No, but my lower back is hurting. I just sweating.
yes. I'm sorry.
No, because I'm a personal trainer, and I've been training for at least 2 or 3 years, and I start to lose grip around 180. So the fact that you're doing this at 135, 140, 155 is still amazing.
It's impressive. The trainer, the way we got into her doing the deadlifting though is with the squats. I mean, you have to rely on those hamstrings. You have to rely on that strong core to keep it in place to be able to pull that weight up. And it actually goes hand in hand with when you're training for any type of running. Because if you think about the amount of work that goes into your hamstrings and your core just to support you, It worked out great.
Mhm. That's amazing. And I know that in 2019, you published a book, It's Cool to Be Me. Can you
Is that your
speak
book?
about that?
Can you tell him about your book?
Sorry.
No, just tell him about your book.
What he saying?
He just asked you about your book. It's Cool to Be Me.
This my this is my this my my first book.
Hmm.
What did you write it about?
Right about the Alzheimer's.
You dedicate it to people with Alzheimer's and grandma. You're right. But what did you write in the book about? Did you write about chasing toad frogs? Okay, what did you write about? Who was in your book?
You drive me crazy.
I'm supposed to drive you crazy. That's the whole reason you were born.
That's why I call you crazy woman.
I'm good with that. What did you write about? You write about your first half marathon?
Uh,
You're so dramatic. Come on.
Please stop.
No, you got to tell me about your book.
Stop.
Okay.
But no, it's definitely and I'm just
A moment that I do remember that I found out peace because I wrote the book because because a moment that I was looking down with my with my friend.
And who was your friend? Shane?
Is a moment that I see my my godfather.
Shane.
I know, but I must saying is it I know that you should say his name, but I just want to tell you that he was married,
Mm-hmm.
but my saying is not my friend. He is my godfather because he's got married. And then he was holding my hand to finish my my race.
Your first half marathon. So, that's what you wrote about. Your first half marathon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then a moment that I crossed in the first line, I see my I see my running coach. It is William.
Yes.
Um.
So William is
uh,
okay.
Well, he's the one to put my medal around my neck, and then he got me high five, and then I started crying. I was hugging him,
Yes. Okay.
and then a moment that I see my my friend album, and then I still see him because he's got my jacket. He's doing the victory dance in the race.
So you danced with Iram at the end of your races
Yes.
here in Austin. William puts the medal around your neck here in Austin.
Yes.
And Shane did your first half
And
with you.
my godfather.
And he's your godfather. And he did your marathon with you. He flew back into the marathon, which was his first also.
You remember why?
Why?
You remember why he came?
Why did he come?
Because of me.
Okay. All right. So one question led to 10 minutes. Okay.
That's fine.
Then
That's
I'm sorry.
totally
Then
She's got her voice now.
and then they got married, and then my godfather told me that you just now have a brand new god sister. Her name is Emma Singh.
So to put all this in context, all of these people that she's talking about how much she loves and everything were met through the running community here in Austin.
Lovely.
Healthy lifestyle change also came with a whole new family.
Right. So essentially, it's cool to you. It's cool to be you because, again, the experience that you have, the things and friends and family that you gained through running, through the experience of running, right? And
Yes.
so, and in another sense, it's cool to be you because it's okay to have Down syndrome and still be able to do these amazing things, right? Because at the end of the day, I think it's important for us to know that we're all the same, but we have different challenges.
Yeah.
Right?
The funny thing was, University of Texas brought her down on the field last Friday night, and they recognized her in front of 100,000 people. They presented a check from H-E-B, a local grocery chain here in Texas, and they donated $5,000 in Kayleigh's name to the Alzheimer's Association. The next day, we were driving to visit my dad, and Kayleigh tells me, she said, "Mom, I didn't get to meet Matthew McConaughey. I got to meet Scarlett Johansson, but I didn't get to meet Matthew McConaughey." And I looked at Kayleigh and I said, "Kayleigh, guess what?" And she said, "What?" I said, "Matthew McConaughey didn't get to meet you." I said, "I think it was his loss, a bigger loss."
Yep.
And I say that because I always want Kayleigh to hold on to how important she is just for who she is, not because there's nothing lesser than. It's that she's just like every single one of us. We have our unique differences, and we celebrate that. We have our things that are the same as everyone else, and we celebrate that too.
Right.
So that is one thing that I did want to empower Kayleigh with, is even down to the Down syndrome that people may see as less than. No, that just makes you unique, and it means that you do things differently.
Right.
So.
And you said that New York changed the way that you saw your daughter. Can you go further into that and explain?
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I tried to tell him.
What do you want to tell him?
In the race, a moment that I see my my first medal. My mom, she always told me that I am inspired with other people, and then a moment that I see my mom at the race, a moment that she was starting crying. A moment that she was starting crying. She always told me that I am so proud of you. And then she told me that you're married Donald. You're married Donald.
Okay, so the what I saw that had such an impact for me in New York, is the diversity along the spectators along the whole race course. We ran past people holding a flag for Palestine. We ran past people holding a flag, an Israeli flag. We ran past and we saw some people holding a flag for Mexico. We saw several groups of supporters, Black supporters for Black runners, which I thought was amazing because they are so underrepresented out on that race course. And I'm not talking about the elites. I'm just talking about in general. But every single one of them were playing music. And every single time Kayleigh stopped to dance to their music. And I would watch them as they would high five and they would hug and they would dance with Kayleigh. And you just saw these barriers just break down. It was no longer about our differences. It was about people in that moment having fun, dancing with each other, high-fiving, and hugging. Some of them was quite the hug-a-thon. But it was just, it's how we should be.
Right.
It was just mutual supporting of each other and just living in the moment. And I think at this point nowadays, we need more of that. And I just watched Kayleigh just break down these barriers. And just, there was a couple of spectators that came out on the street. I think it was like mile 2021 that were dancing with her. And we got some pictures of it. And it was just like, it was amazing. And that changed that perspective because then she was no longer just my daughter out there and I'm trying to protect her and make sure everything's okay. It was her owning the moment and everybody around her responding to that.
And you said that that Kayleigh has never allowed what anyone thought of her define what she could or could not do.
No.
And I want to know to what extent that maybe you can probably figure what led to that determination. Maybe it is seeing how you pushed through, having her in those early days, just, getting that persistence, that strength also from you, even though obviously she has her own strength. But I don't know if you can draw on maybe where she found that strength, that determination.
I was raised with, I have very, very curly hair. It's pulled back right now, but I have massively curly hair. There used to be a joke that I blew out the electrical system in my grandfather's house, and that's what caused the curly hair. I really did do that. But I had a grandmother that rejected that about me. She rejected my look. She rejected my hair. She was very verbal about it since I was a little girl. When you have that kind of stuff, especially coming from a family member, it makes you insecure about every aspect of yourself. For me, it was determination that was not going to be the life my daughter knew. I wanted her to be secure in every aspect of herself, even down to how I talk about, anything with Down syndrome, with other family members. It was just giving her that ability to see herself differently. I started writing journal notes to her and her place in history, and how, she would perceive things and how accepting she was of everything and how so many times we are not. And letting her know that was a beautiful, unique thing about herself that we needed more of.
Yeah.
And I may still have all my insecurities to some extent, but I didn't want her raised with that. And that was the determination and just the way I wanted her to see herself.
Yeah.
You have a special needs child, you hear all through their school years what they can and cannot do. And you hear doctors tell you at birth what they can and cannot do. And the reality is, really, they determine how far they can take that. And if you give them wings, you realize with the race, there's so many people that come along and provide that wind that just lifts her up. It's magical. But that was the determination with her. And now she thinks she's the diva of every race.
And I love the fact that she's doing so much, like from basketball to swimming to powerlifting to running, because it continually shows she's really presenting such a strong, giving really a lot of inspiration to people in her community, showing like, hey, you're not limited. Like,
Yeah.
you can do so much. And it's just amazing to see her take on these things and really excel. And it's just really inspiring to see.
We would love to go have a race where we see several people out there with differences with Down syndrome and autism and, just as one human race out there running a race.
We just had Thanksgiving, and I know you guys participated in the turkey trot race. What's next for you guys in terms of races?
We have the Decker Challenge on December the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
We have 3M half marathon in January. We have the Austin half in February and potentially the New York half in March. And when it starts getting hotter, usually for here it's around April, May, is when we have less races and more training indoors and things like that. But race-wise, we have a half marathon every month through March.
And I may be a part of that. I did the New York half marathon earlier this year, so I may do it again in March. It's just an event that I love doing, so I'm looking forward to that.
We'd love to meet up with you.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll definitely connect with you guys.
Perfect.
I'm really looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun. And that's going to be, I don't know, at that point, I'm not even sure how many half marathons Kayleigh would have completed by that point.
23.
23. Wow.
If you include Austin, it'd be 23 because she's at 20 right now. So New York would be number 24, and it would be my number 34. She thinks she's catching up with me with each one.
That's amazing.
Think about I did not doing whole thing for Boston.
Well, we know you were at number 21, and even though we may not have finished due to a lot of different things, you went out there and you did about 75% of it. I think that counts to something.
So I know that this is usually where I give the guests an opportunity to really say what they have next, kind of like where people can find you on socials. So you can obviously take that time to do that here.
Okay. Kayleigh has a public Instagram account, Kayleigh.Williamson.5011. It's where even during races we'll post if where she's at during a race in case they've taken up the sensors, the chip timers. She is just continuing on with her races. So, we're going to keep going for however long. This is her 8th year doing the Austin Distance Challenge, and we're looking for number 9 and 10. We just want to keep going as long as possible, and hopefully one year get out there and see more individuals with Down syndrome out on the course and moving and getting active and doing whatever they can as well.
And you guys have a joint Instagram as well, correct?
Yes, that's going to be the Kayleigh.Williamson.5011. I have one that just started out in the beginning just so people could track us. And that one is SEW Eagles 91. So you can see us on either one, but most people are tracking her under her name. Right.
Well, Kayleigh and Sandy, this was really amazing, really inspiring. I'll be definitely tracking your story, and hopefully, link with you guys as well around March here in New York. But I hope that everyone that listened today is really encouraged, really inspired, especially those that are within, Kayleigh's community, and those who, apart from that, also feel maybe disenfranchised, maybe feel like they're not able to push through. That she showed you, the mom has shown you that you can excel, you can prevail regardless of the circumstances.
Absolutely.
And so again, here at I Choose Health, we make the appeal to you to make health personal, make the choice to be you. And again, this is the I Choose Health podcast. Hope you guys have a great one.
Okay.